One of the things we talked about a lot on this program is the benefit of sports. And, I know that sports in the times we're living in now being demonized a little bit. We don't want anything to be too hard. We don't want anything to be too rough. We don't want to compete. We don't want to keep score. We don't want a coach to be harsh. We don't want to be we don't want to have to, be very strict with rules. But we believe and have seen the benefits of sports with children firsthand. And one of the things that we want to do is everything we can to introduce kids to various types of sports and encourage them to get involved. And you know what? We have two guys today that totally agree with us on that. And we have worked with Gerald Hacker a lot. You hear his name associated with Fun Source, bringing on the fun, and has done many a Rick and Bubba event, a Rick and Bubba kid event. Rick and Bubba, you've done, how many now over 19 years?
I think I met you guys years and years ago when you were in Oxford doing a little radio op, and we introduced him. We just we did Fat Fest. We've done the Bronner Burgess,
playground
this past year. Yeah, we've done several birthday parties
for us at our
brought
house.
A carousel to your house, I think. One time.
Yes, you did. That was the one that really started the whole how to top that.
So hey, the party that put Helena on the map last year, JC's party.
Right. We did that.
Yeah.
Tense. So we got a lot of great family memories and show memories dealing with you and your great company. And Andrew is here with you today, too. Now, Andrew and Gerald have gotten together, and they presented this idea to us. And these are books that are set up for children to learn the rules and to learn about sports. And tell us a little bit, either Andrew, Gerald, whoever wants to get started, how the books came about and what you're hoping to accomplish with this.
Well, years ago, me, like Speedy, I coached Little League Baseball, and I had problems with my kid. Basically, he'd run off the base on a fly ball, get tagged out, or he'd run over the base. And I went to Amazon looking for a book that would explain the rules, to a kid. And they have several rule books, but most of them are thick as a Bible. So I went to Andrew. Andrew coaches his kids in soccer and basketball, and Andrew played in the NCAA tournament in basketball, so he's got a sports background. And I told him, hey, this is an idea that would be good and for kids to create a story. And while they read the story, they learn the rules of the game. And Andrew said, there's got to be something out there. It's got to be out there. But after about 2 months of searching, no dice. It wasn't out there. So we just got together, and to be honest with you, we've done it as friends and just passing time, and it's turned out to be really well.
Well, Andrew, you probably saw this too. We talk about this a lot on the air, and we've talked about it. When we were, I know we're probably older than you guys. We're Bubba and I are about to be.
Well, speak for yourself.
49. Are y'all? Where are y'all in that somewhere in there?
I'm 25, Rick.
Yeah, 25. but the kids today, whether we like it or not, whether I don't know what to do to change it. Some neighborhoods are an exception, but in general, the kids do not do what we did, and that is all your neighborhood friends play every sport.
Do not.
They play the big three. So when you arrived at organized sports, you already knew the rules of the game.
That's right.
And nobody had to tell me that you run through first, but you can't run through second and third. Nobody ever had to tell me that.
Right.
I knew that from the backyard.
Right.
And how about this? My daddy didn't teach me that either. We all learned it as neighborhood kids playing pickup games in our own little neighborhood leagues. And then by the time you get to organized sport, you're now just refining the game for me. I already know the game in general.
If any parents had a kid in upward sports, you know that the rules are, it's just a free-for-all out there.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of dads who have never been exposed to basketball, for instance, and they got their kids running up and down the court, and it's very frustrating as somebody who knows the rules and knows what the kids should be doing, and the kids have no idea. So it's perfect.
That was my experience. I had a similar experience to Gerald. First few times we go out and play and coaching young kids, they'd come to practice, and I'm sitting there trying to work on fundamentals and teaching, how to play the game, and they don't know the basic rules. They don't know what a pivot is. They don't know what traveling is. They don't know what double dribble is. So then you end up spending practice time just covering the basic rules. And before long, that's when Gerald came to me with the idea. I said, man, that'd be great. I wish my kids would come and know just the basics so that you can focus on more of the fundamentals and the teaching.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's really cool, and Bubba and I, we're very sensitive to the look of something. And
I love the way these books look.
The animation,
they're great,
and the illustrations are great. We got Football Frankie, the rules of the game for kids. will help a child to understand a game that can be quite complicated when it comes to rules. A game like football. I mean, there's
and single moms too. You know, a lot of single moms are out there and they take their kids and they have no idea. Adler's girlfriend obviously knows football, but
right. But some women don't, or maybe a single mom.
Single guys too.
Single guys
who don't know.
Well, maybe Adler needs this book.
How about married people that don't know the rules to the
There you go.
Just a copy of that would be great.
As a matter of fact, when they asked me to coach lacrosse, I wish the lacrosse one would have been already ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know it's coming, but right now the two that are available and others are coming. The baseball one, matter of fact, where that one is close to being
November. It should be done in November.
Yeah, but right now available to you today. The rules of the game for kids, basketball, Bobby, and it tells you the rules of basketball, and football, Frankie, the rules of the game for kids. And we have the information set up at show notes at rickandbubba.com. Now, you can go straight to the website, gamerulesforkids.com. You can either use the number 4 or spell out 4, gamerulesforkids.com. And so these are also available today on Amazon.
Yes, they are.
That's right.
Yeah.
Rick, and one of the other things we highlight too, you know, it's not just about the rules, but every book and every story we've written so far really highlights, you know, attitude, playing the game with the right attitude, playing the game with your best effort, and then having fun. Those are kind of the 3 themes that we try to weave in. And you see the characters go through that process where, you know, they struggle, they have something bad happen in the game where they make a mistake and they got to overcome that. You know, it's just like real
life.
Yeah, real life. And so there's a lot of good teaching elements aside from the rules that we hope parents and kids can latch on to.
So what else is out there? I mean, it's obvious you're covering the big 3 first, as you should, but what's on the horizon then?
Oh,
I mean, when is
goodness.
Tommy Tennis out
You
there?
could you could do tennis, hockey, lacrosse. Actually, is really high up on our radar because it's one of the fastest growing sports in America.
Plus it's growing at a rate in parts of the country that have no idea the rules. It's almost like there's a need there real quick, too, because, you know, it's growing, but it's not just a sport growing that people are familiar with. It's a sport that's growing. I mean, I saw a kid yesterday. I walked by after football practice. He said, "Hey, Coach, I'm playing lacrosse next spring." And I said, "You know anything about it?" He goes, "No, man, but it looks great." I mean, but so you don't know.
It's almost tennis.
Yeah.
If they just tighten that net up.
And except for the collisions. But so you have to learn the rules. But I think you guys, and Bubby, you and I talked about this and made fun of it this week. I think where we're making a mistake is when we start trying to present a program like this to high school kids, to junior high kids,
right.
And we've got the cartoons and we've got this, and they're like, this is stupid. The key is what you guys are doing is start learning it. When a book like this, it relates to you, it's fun, it's colorful, it's something you can do with your parents. You're learning it then. What we do is we're waiting too late with this kind. You know, when you try to go through the STAR program and all this stuff, my kids are rolling their eyes. They see these cartoon figures and like, come on. I mean, they're 14 years old.
Right.
You know, what's great about this is you're starting out saying, look, start out with them and introduce them to sport when they're young.
Right.
And let them go onto their first field with the first coach, knowing how to play the game.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And they're written for ages, you know, between kind of 4 and 10, but it's really targeted for those first-time players that are coming out, kindergarten age. They're just learning to read. You know, parents are probably going to have to go through it with them the first few times.
And I can't tell you the number of times I've had the single mom, you know, who is either, you know, husband's left her, husband's passed away, whatever the case may be. I see it, that look on their face, football practice is over, and that's when we have football Frankie, and they say, I realize there's only so much time you have with him, and we got to do stuff away from practice.
Right.
I have no idea what to show him.
Yep.
I have no clue what he's supposed to be doing, not supposed to be doing, what's legal, what's not legal. And see, this is just a huge resource for that situation.
And the challenge that we...
And there's dads out there, too. They never play sports, but their kids into it.
I don't know if my wife knows nothing about football. You read the book. You read the book 2 times with your kid. It's written on a first grade level. You read it 2 times, and they'll know what a lateral is. They'll know what a first down is, you know. They'll understand the rules.
And the good thing is they're basically written so that the story gets them engaged and they're into the story. But as like Gerald said, as you go, you know, all of a sudden they're picking up the rules before, you know, you don't have to drill it into them and say, hey, let's memorize this rule. They
Who wants to do that?
They get it from the story, right?
Trying that classroom format doesn't work. You got too much to cover.
That's right.
You got to learn it like this. They're available right now. We'll come back and talk more with the guys. Football Frankie, the rules of the game for kids, and basketball Bobby, available at Amazon or at rickandbubba.com.
The the gravy, please. Rick and Bubba. Ooh, it brings me to my knees.
23 minutes now past the hour. We're back, and we're discussing one of our favorite topics, sports. But this is sports dealing with children and introducing them to sport, and some great resources. These are the rules of the game for kids. And we're talking to Andrea Warthers is here with us, and Gerald Hacker. And they came together, put these together, GameRulesForKids.com, or you can find these books on Amazon. Football Frankie is out. Basketball Bobby is out. Baseball should be coming out here by November, and then other sports to follow. There's so many uses for this. I mean, when you're looking at this resource, I look back. I mean, here they've got a cartoon referee here, and of course in that mode you usually see a referee in throwing the flag, and it goes through and it tells you the penalties, offense, defense, general. And you learn it.
It really lays it out nice.
And that way
positions.
You kind of know what's going on, the different positions. I'll tell you another great resource for this, too, is if somebody who says, you know what, I'd love to get out there with my kid or with some other neighborhood kids. I'd love to coach, but I didn't play. I don't really understand. I don't know what to do. It's a great resource for up-and-coming coaches, too, youth sport coaches.
That's right. We have actually on our Amazon and on our website, we have youth packs or coach packs. So,
great.
Like for Upward basketball, if you've never coached before and, you got, 6, 7 kids on that team, you can buy them at a discounted rate. I mean, they're inexpensive anyways. They're $7.99. And basically, you can give them one to each of your kids for a team party or prior to the season. Just kind of get them introduced to the sport, help them along. Saves you time on spending your time during practice, going over the rules and not to do this and what to do this and so on and so forth.
Well, and I love how you get into things that are pretty in depth, but you simplify it. Like, have you ever caught yourself out there with people that have never played the game? Because I've coached youth football a lot. And I know youth baseball some, but when you get out there and then it dawns on you, oh my goodness, y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Right. And one of them that is hard to explain is the line of scrimmage.
Right.
I remember trying to tell everybody, all right, there's an imaginary line here that is a neutral zone, right, and it belongs to whoever wants it. And that's where you start teaching. You got to get to that. And they were like, where is it? What? And I said, well, the ball is, and so something, I mean, we get into things as deep as trying, it'll tell you how you can explain the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, well, football was a complicated sport to write, just being honest. I mean, basketball is a little easier, but football has such a progression to it on what things you kind of need to learn.
Well, they've made it too complicated.
Yeah,
they need to lose about a third of the rules now.
But just like play action, like, what's play?
Right.
Y'all talk about what play action is, but you want to know my favorite part of this book is the name of the coach, Coach Johnson. I love that. I love that.
Oh, my goodness. That's funny. I didn't realize it was Coach Johnson. There he is. But, I mean, you even go as far as to kind of introduce them to some basic defenses.
Sure.
Basic offensive setups and things like that.
Sure.
I like the page about the Tampa 2 coverage.
Well,
that's season 2, Bubba.
But I mean, I had a parent sitting at a junior high football game. Okay,
sure.
Their kid decided to play football late, good athlete, and something as simple as the mom turns around and said, "Okay, I know he tackles people because he's playing on defense." I said, "That's right." Can he tackle people when he's on offense? I mean, can you do that same move? And
right.
And I said, well, actually, no. If he does that, that's holding. And then her face was like, what? Right. I mean, you think about the things to us, if you grew up in it, that seem so
obvious. Right.
But, I mean, this is the junior high level now. I mean, people are sometimes getting introduced to these sports later in life. And as I said, the whole society has changed. The whole society has changed. That you're not learning it as you're growing up the way it was when we were, kids. I mean, that just isn't happening.
That's right.
So this education probably is needed now more than ever.
We had a football kid that went out for 6th grade basketball last year, and my son was on that team, and so he'd been doing football his whole life. Didn't really play basketball, but he's a good player, physical kid. but he didn't know backcourt. And 3 or 4 times in the season, he would get a pass in the front court and then pass it to a guard, and whistle would blow, and he'd kind of be confused. And it's like, hey man, that's called backcourt. So even at a 6th grade level,
you wouldn't know that if you never played it.
He wouldn't know it.
That's
so
right.
it's that's where even kids that maybe it's not their primary sport right now. I think it'd be good just to introduce it to them.
And look, I'm just saying this too. If you have a kid that pretty much knows it, but he has to get reading in every night.
There you go.
And hey, have you done your reading?
Test him on it.
Have you read for 15 minutes? Have you read for 10 minutes?
Right.
They could open this book and go to town.
I thought you talking about getting in depth in the basketball book. They've even covered Cheehaw Acres #1, the rules to make them take them.
Love it.
And remember, if it hits the rim, you got to take it back.
That's right. Every play, make them take them.
Bubba, look, they even have the height of the rim in here for you.
That's
So you know how I do.
That's it.
Yeah, but that's current day.
Yeah.
Current day.
Not back in the day.
Guys, thanks for being with us. You can get these books. Great source for you, your kids, as a coach. Remember, those coach packs are available too. Those coaching packs, get those too. GameRulesForKids.com or look on Amazon.
You're watching the